In this lesson, we will learn more about validation. There are two types of validation, mandatory and regex. Mandatory is supported by all field types and passes if there is any value provided. Regex is supported only by text field and passes if provided value matches specified regular expression. Regex validation is performed only if a field has a value. Empty fields are not validated, so we often use this type of validation with mandatory validation. I have prepared this simple form containing only two fields, name and email, both are text. Let's start by adding mandatory validation for name field. To add validation, all I need to do is to set validation property. This is JavaScript object, and inside I will set mandatory to be true, and this is all. Next, let's add regex validation for email. This is quite similar. So validation, inside this will be regex. I have prepared simple regex validating email address, so I'll just paste. Please note that I'm using start and end characters to note start and end of line. Of course, regex validation can be used with mandatory validation for text field, so I can also add mandatory true. In this case, validation of this field will fail if any of those fails. Great. Now let's save and go to Sabre Web. Let's open form. When using validation, user is not able to submit form if validation fails. This means that I can still close form, for example, using cancel button, but if I try to submit using OK, validation fails. This is because first field is empty and second field is both empty and its value does not match specified regular expression. Please note default error message, provide a valid input. We can customize it. So let's go back to code. Customizing validation error message is very simple. All I need to do is to add error property to validation object. Let's say I want to have some more specific validation error message for email field. I will just add error, this is string. Let's say I want to have provide a valid address. Now let's save and go back to Sabre Web. And now, if I open and submit form, you will see our custom validation error, provide a valid address. Now, let's go back to code to learn of text API support for validation. With text API, we are not able to use regex validation, and we are not able to set custom error message, but we can still mark fields as mandatory. I will comment this structure form first, just to create string form. Containing name field, this is text, and start field, this is date. To mark fields as mandatory using text API, all we need to do is to add asterisk at the end. So to mark name field as mandatory, I will add asterisk at the end of ID. And for start field, I will add asterisk at the end of type. Now let's save and go to Sabre Web. Let's test our form. You can see name and start fields we've just defined, and you can see that if I try to submit, validation fails. Now Let's add some data. After that, validation passes.